I just ask people when I present this seminar, suppose we have a structure like this, what the world will be like. They discuss in groups and at the end they say, it will be a paradise on earth. What kind of a world would you want? They speak a world of this, fraternity, equality, justice and all that, peace and so on they say. Then I tell them, everybody wants such a world. Then why is it not happening? What could be the preventing blocks? Can we boil all of them down to two root blocks? Then root blocks come to be one, selfishness, another one, helplessness, powerlessness. So people want changes, they feel powerless. So power is the crucial issue. To have power is to have an effective say. You say something, it is done. To have any say at all, what do you need? You need to have a forum. So people at the base have a forum where they could come and effectively have a say on matters that affect them. Are the election constituencies big forums or small forums? They say very big forums, huge forums, gigantic forums. Then in such a big forum, if you have to talk, how big a person should you be? You should have a very big voice in terms of money. You need to have posters, you need to have media, you need to have meetings, you need to have rallies, you need to have volunteer mobilization or staff paid people mobilization.
Huge amount of that.
And you need to even bribe. Who can get elected? Only the people who have big money. Then at the end, what does democracy become? Because when they are elected, the rich people, whose interest will they represent? So it will at the end be a rule by the rich, for the rich and of the rich. Not anymore ruled by people. And this very system will lead to that. If we want to have voices for the people at the base, you need to have structures provided for that. And those structures, those forums should be small sized. This is the basic work. I was studying journalism. One of the topic was communication and change. Mm-hmm. And when it came to that, they said it's not so much the communication, the mass media that change. They cannot change very much, they can change only a little bit. The real thing that changes are the interpersonal relationships. Because nobody is as effective as a person comes and says, come on, let us do it, man. Mm-hmm. Nobody is as effective as that person, that interpersonal relationship. And when you give media messages to isolated individuals, they are put through a lot of tensions, lot of pressures. At the end, they don't go into action. But when it gives a message to a group, what one fellow fails to see, another fellow sees. What one fellow tries to back out from, another fellow reminds you, no, that's not the way. We look at it this way. So this kind of a corrective effect is there in groups. And so the social changes, they were trying to address their messages to groups. For example, Mahatma Gandhi of India, he was addressing his magazine. He was running a magazine. Mm-hmm. It was aimed not at individuals but at groups discussing together in various places. So the groups sing into action. In a group, they can discuss together what one fellow thinks can be corrected by others. The views can be made broader. Opinions can be made sharper. Approaches can be better defined while it is a group. While I was circulating this dream, Some two people wrote to me, have you heard about sociocracy? Then I went hunting for it. I found such a lot in common. So when I went to a village, as first time as a parish priest and then I wanted to organize that in my village. So we had 17 neighborhoods. And then neighborhoods about 30 families each. And then these people used to meet once a week, sometimes more frequently, sometimes less frequently, okay. And then they discuss and make decisions, learn together, celebrate together. This way, communities were evolving. A neighborhood should be guided by some 5 principles. One principle, smallness. Everybody sits in one circle and nobody in the second row is able to talk without a microphone. That is a comfortable size for everybody. In such a setup, everybody has a face, a name, identity, and gets affirmed, related to, taken seriously, gets attention, able to articulate and influence the course of decision making. So like this process, everybody is somebody in this neighborhood. Okay, so we had the 30 family units. We used to get representatives from these neighborhood communities to form the representative general body of the village. So we used to get 5 representatives from each group. And so many people will form a big circle that will be the representative general body. And one from each group, they will be the executive body or governing body. We got representatives from each of these neighborhoods. So neighbors were constantly involved. So if you want to keep a community alive, a group alive, the best thing is to give them things to do together.
Things to do together.
Yeah. And make them feel the need for coming together, discuss together, work together. Right. So you must give them enough challenges, enough power sharing. So the process has begun. People who are not talking together, who are merely isolated individuals in the church, who never had a voice, who never thought that they could have a voice, who were merely passive beneficiaries, are now becoming active participants, having forums to express themselves. This is already a big change. Other dioceses came to know about this experiment and they got interested. So today, in all the Catholic dioceses, we have these neighborhood communities. Nearly 100,000 of them.
100,000 communities?
Neighborhood communities within the Catholic Church alone. You see, they were patriarchal villages. That means, women never came to any village decision-making meetings. That was supposed to be the exclusive privilege of men. And then, when we started having these neighborhood meetings, we tried to introduce Bible studies on women in the Bible. And then they brought this question. You see, in our village, men go often to places outside, they emigrate for fishing and so on. So most of the men are out. Women are here mostly. Why not we send also our women to the decision-making council at the village level? We are asking one by one, various neighborhoods. And only 2 of them had objections. And 2 of them were somewhat indifferent. This way or that way, doesn't matter. But most of the others said, no, let the women also go. So centuries old tradition, we break through this process. Okay.
And not by force.
Not by force.
Just welcome, invitation.
Yeah.
Would you-
And what turned out, women were the majority in the council whenever men go out for fishing.
Right.
Okay. At the end, the complaint was that women were dominating. And the men were out of this process. When they come back, they say, we should have a very grand festival. A budget worth so many rupees like. And then what happens, this decision, since it was such a big money, goes to all the neighbors. Again the same way, 2 neighbors were for a grand festival, very expensive festival. 2 neighborhoods were somewhat different, this way or that way, okay. But most of the other neighborhoods, they said, no, we have such a lot of development plans for the village now. We need to have such a lot of money saved for this. So this is not the time to have a grand festival. Let us look for whatever we can do for the development of the village and to meet the basic needs of the village. Village council, the general body met next time. This was the conclusion. And they were upset because till then, whatever they said was the law. Some people. For the first time, people at the base, they were asserting themselves with a contrary opinion. And that they couldn't stomach. So they said, okay, instead of 10 days, we shall have only 3 days. But so it was a 3-day festival instead of 10 days. But why I am quoting this, the people at the base, they may have their own priorities, thinking and aspirations. They don't always get reflected by the usual decision-making people. They went to the poorer areas of Alappuzha, got the poorer women organized as neighborhood groups. See, they were collecting their own money. Correspondingly, if you collect so much, bank gives you so much loans, all put together. When it was at the federal level, that means at the municipality level, first level, second level, third level is municipality, community. At that level, they are handling a bigger budget than the municipalities. But it had its own critics. They said, you could do that in a place like Alappuzha. But you cannot do it in a very backward area because Alappuzha has a history of social struggles, people are sensitized and things like that. But you cannot do in a backward area.
So that area was one where they may have been poor, but they had a lot of consciousness. Development.
That's the argument they gave. They took it as a challenge. They took one of the most backward districts, Malappuram district. And district normally 2 million people or so. So these were federated. And in no time that also became world famous. And then they wanted to expand it to the entire state. When they expanded, you see, they are from 3 tiers, they have come to 5. Now when they expand to the state level, they should have at least 6 levels, But they said, no, only 3 levels. That means neighborhood, ward, and then local governance called panchayat. The official reason given, it will confuse and neutralize local governance structures like panchayats. So let it be at that level. And someone who was keenly interested in this, he was telling me, It's not that they are much worried, concerned about the panchayats remaining strong, but they are afraid. And he was projecting a scenario. These neighborhood groups, if you calculate now, they have throughout the state 280,000 neighborhood groups in the entire state. In each neighborhood group has so many women, and they all come from so many families. They have each family has so many people. If all of them remain organized in block as one unit, they could dictate terms to the government.
They'd be more powerful than any political
party. And then the government has to yield to their demands. If they don't, if the government doesn't yield, these people can declare themselves to be the government. Because of these neighborhood groups of poor women, in the last 2 elections, more women got elected than men. That's the big thing in India. You see, elsewhere, some women get elected as panchayat presidents, but mostly it is only namesake. It's the husbands who run the show, women put the signature like, okay. But here, it's not like that, because these people are trained at the neighborhood level, ward level, then at the local governance level. They know the game.
They're very experienced.
The
women who are doing this
and
work
so
now
they
are very
could
experienced.
really presidents on their own right. Okay. So that's the type, the change that has been brought about. Another thing that I started was children's neighborhood parliaments.
I was very happy first time entering in the children's parliament as a member in 2005. But I elected as a prime minister for me, for my village level in very short time.
Children of a neighborhood, they gather together. They become one parliament. Parliament means a talking forum. They come together and they talk among themselves on what they could do for the neighborhood, for themselves and for others. So this was the task. And so we started having this neighborhood parliament of children. Then we tried linking them at various representative governance levels, like what we call ward, panchayat, block, district, like that. And eventually we had a state parliament of children. Not that we got all the children included in the process, that's still a long way to go. But wherever we got some things organized, with that we formed these federations. For each United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, there is a minister in each neighborhood parliament. Suppose we have the neighborhood parliament meeting this time. Next time these ministers come together separately. Almost everybody there becomes a minister or a deputy minister, so that nobody remains idle during the ministers' meeting. The prime minister chosen was an 8th grade girl, visually challenged, couldn't see. And still that girl was elected as the state prime minister. Because at every level we have prime ministers only. Right. National prime minister, district prime minister, neighborhood prime minister, like that. And she was elected. And how did this girl get elected? Through sociocratic process. They sit around, we introduced a sociocratic election process that made it easy for them to choose without any conflict a visually challenged girl as the prime minister. And now, last year, the same girl got elected as the national child prime minister. Again, the election was through this sociocratic process. I brought her along with the previous prime minister, two of them, to address a particular meeting, a special event. But these people went to attend another meeting. That is especially March 8, Women's Day. And the talks were over. The moderator said, anybody from the audience wants to add anything? This girl put her hand up.
My name is Lakshmi. I am 13 years, coming from India, belongs to the state of Tamil Nadu. I am the child prime minister of Tamil Nadu. We have children's parliament in our country, preventing violence against girls. We have many success stories. We have prevented child marriage, child labor, etc. I would like to give an example regarding child marriage. It's a violence against girls and women. A girl named Gayatri in training has a bitter experience. She's just 15 years old. Her parents arranged to get her married against her wish. Even the engagement was over. When the neighborhood children's parliament came to know about it, it stopped the violence. So, I would like you to include the children's parliament with your program so that only we can prevent the violence against girls easily. Thank you.
Oh, she got a big ovation that day. Like that. Being a visually challenged girl, normally she would have been pushed aside.
Yeah.
But there is a forum. Since there is a forum, they see her value. Next level forum, they see her value. Next level, since a small group, they can easily, they don't get caught by manipulations. They think seriously, what is the role? To play this role, what type of person do you need? And then write your own name on the top and give reasons for your proposal. And then any objections, all this process they go through. So they elect the best person possible. So that way she comes up. That's the help of the structures.
Yes.
So you don't need to have more money, have more drama to get your point across. That's the beauty of it. People feel they don't matter. They are nobodies. Nobody wants to be a nobody. So they want to be somebody. Make the big constituency smaller. So we call it neighborhoodization and smallification. Both words are not there in the dictionary.
Yes.
The community warmth, that experience, when it spreads itself too thin, gets evaporated. You don't see it. Okay. So you don't feel the community. To know one another, to relate to one another, to join in one's joys and sorrows, to cry with those who cry and laugh with those who laugh, and that kind of empathy, to work together, to see together and to work together. And when you do that, what happens? Ultimately, the power remains at the base. If the power remains at the base, their problems are addressed. Their problems will be solved.
No money for war, no money for endless elections.
Yeah, because if you are not delivering the good, we are here to call you back.